All right, welcome to Learning Plan 6. We have a lot to cover in this section, and we're going to jump right in here. We're going to be covering Chapter 9 on assessments and why those are valuable and very important. There's several handouts here that I'm going to go over, and then you also have your transcript number 3. So by now you should be feeling more comfortable and confident working with your client. All right, key concepts for Chapter 9. We're going to be talking about the assessment and how that's important. Assessment is crucial for any type of helping relationship, and the reason is because, well, there's several reasons why, but it's used most often to gather information about the client so that the helper and the client kind of know what direction to move into. All right, and when doing an assessment, there's not one particular type of assessment tool that works better than the other. As long as it's backed up by research and has been used um, in the field, then it's more than likely going to be reliable. All right. Your book discusses the assessment stage and why it's valuable, so make sure you read that. All right. Now, there are 5 main sources of information for the assessment. Direct observation, so you're observing the client's behavior, attitudes, um, and anything that they give you, information. Information from family or friends, or what's called collateral contact with friends or family. Information given by the client themselves, medical history. So there's a lot of different sources that you can use. All right, and assessments are also used to help us make diagnoses if we're in that, the AODA field or in a health field. That helps determine a diagnosis that we can then treat. All right, so make sure you read that chapter, and there's the PowerPoint. All right, now here's a couple of handouts. This is the intake form that you can use with your client for this particular transcript, or you can use it for the 4th transcript, which will be your final one, and you'll be doing your assessment with that as well. So starting with this transcript, we will introduce the assessment tool. So make sure that you're using some type of assessment and make sure that you're documenting that in your transcript. All right, so I'm having a little bit of an issue getting that up and going here, so we'll move on to the next section here, next area. All right, so also, we're talking about the DSM-4, and by now you've probably heard that the DSM-5 has come out. There are a lot of changes with the DSM-5, and we are working on getting an updated edition to the textbook that reflects the DSM-5 and the changes that are part of that. So, but the DSM-4 is still used. In my experience, where I work, we still diagnose based on the DSM-4 because insurance companies have not really given us the green light to go ahead and start using the DSM-5 and making diagnoses based on that. So it is still relevant, and once we get the green light to go ahead and start, I guess, diagnosing using the DSM-5, then we'll make that switch. But for now, we're still using the DSM-4, and I imagine we'll have an updated text on that as well. All right, so here's how the DSM-4 is kind of broken down. It's a multi-axis system, so you have 5 different axes. All right, and you have the categories of disorders, and again, a lot of these have changed with the DSM-5. I'm not as familiar with the DSM-5 and the changes. Of course, my staff are, and so we are working collaboratively to make sure that we implement it properly and use it accordingly. So, but lots of good information on here. This still at least gives you an idea of how the DSM is set up. So make sure you review this. It's good information to have. All right, let's see if we can get up this. Okay, there we go. Intake worksheet. This is the ABC 1, 2, 3, 4 intake worksheet. All right, you can use this with your client, and I highly recommend you use this with your client, and then either note it as you go through your transcript if you're doing it informally, or have them fill it out and then use that and make a note of it in your paragraph. Okay, so it covers a wide range of different areas. So make sure you're using this or something similar to it. Actually, I prefer you to use this intake form because it's just very straightforward and simple to use. Okay, then we have the discussion board, so everyone should be experts on how this works now. All right, and the genogram and timeline. Now, a genogram is, it includes your parents, your siblings, and you know what? You can actually just Google genogram, and you'll be able to find some examples of what those look like and how they are put together. If you have questions or issues, please let me know. The timeline assessment as well, as this is actually found in your textbook, um, and you can create that in Word and then just upload it as an attachment. You could do the same thing with the genogram as well. Um, both assignments worth 5 points each. If you have questions, make sure you ask in the question and answer forum on the discussion board. All right, and then we have the transcript number 3. All right, and these are what you're going to be. This is what you're going to be covering as part of the transcript. Oh, let me get it back up here. Okay. So if you're working with a new client, which you should not be by now, you should have the same client. But if you are, you need to cover HIPAA again and mandated reporting. Otherwise, you can jump right in and with the door opener. Um, make sure you're documenting eye contact, body position, facial expression, voice tone. You see, as we move along to these through these transcripts, that each skill that you miss becomes worth more points that you lose. So make sure that you're including these. All right, door openers, minimal encouragers. Okay, open and close questions, paraphrasing, reflections you're going to be using. Confrontation or discrepancy statement if needed. If it's not needed, then of course don't make it awkward and try and force one in there. Okay, just if it's natural and it works, then put it in there. You have the assessment. Make sure you're using the assessment. And now your transcript should be 20 minutes in length, and that's typed. So by now you should be comfortable with having a 20-minute discussion with your client. I would suggest doing maybe a 30-minute session if possible, and then just documenting the 20 minutes that you want to use. So make sure it's 20 minutes. And then your paragraph here, which answers different questions. Make sure you're covering those as well. So this transcript is worth 75 points. So you want to make sure that you're covering all of these criteria in the scoring guide. If you feel comfortable having it next to you, then do it. If not, then make sure you have a mental note of what you need to cover and what skills you need to hit. All right. So that is that for this learning plan. This is a pretty big learning plan. So, and if you're in one of the 3-week courses, this is going to go by super fast. So you need to make sure you get a jump on it. And even if you're in the regular term, regular semester course of this class, it still goes by very fast. So make sure you get a jump on it. Make sure you're participating in the discussion boards, and make sure that you're doing these other assignments, the genogram and the timeline. And also your transcript. So any questions, feel free to let me know. And otherwise, I will see you on Learning Plan 7.